Yo, what is going on, homies? It's your boy Stumped, back for another OPTC video, and in today's video we're diving into the Super Pirate Rumble and doing my first video talking about Super Pirate Rumble, showing you guys what teams I'm using, what I'm sort of coming up against, and how I'm sort of optimizing my points and my ranking. I've been doing a lot of testing the last 2 to 3 days. I think it's like 2 days. I've been doing a lot of testing, and I've been like trying different teams, and I've been taking a lot of L's. I ain't gonna lie to you boys. I'm taking a lot of L's. But I have done the testing for you guys. I've sort of seen what teams sort of work the best in terms of what situations. And I'm going to give you guys a bit of a rundown of what I think the best way to sort of rank in Pirate Rumble actually is. And a bit of a spoiler, don't verse Psy. Psy sucks. Well, Psy's good, and that's why it sucks. But, as I mentioned in today's video, we are going to be taking on particular teams. So hopefully I have 5 runs for you guys. And I want to have a chat about the sort of community and sort of how we want to sort of progress in terms of Pirate Rumble. Now, you can take my advice. You can take it or leave it. I ain't going to tell you what to do when it comes to stuff. But as a community, I do think we should band together. And I do think we should work together to help everyone gain as many points as we possibly can for the Super Pirate Rumble rankings, for alliances, for individual ranks, and all that sort of jargon as well. But if you haven't done so already, if you are enjoying the video, if you do need help in more Pirate Rumble, smash a like on this video. Link in the description below. Head over to the PvP tab if you guys do need some help with Rumble. There's some really, really cool people over there. And if you haven't done so already, or you are new to the channel, hit the big red subscribe button. Like 55% of you guys haven't done so. 55. It's good OPTC content. Enjoy the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Alright, so I want to have a bit of a chat. We're going to slide over to the website. We're going to have a look at the rankings. And we're going to take a look at some stuff. So obviously, the global rankings. My personal ranking, I think that is Alliance. Pretty sure that's Alliance. We are sitting 292, and for my in-app, we are sitting 15th. It's actually pretty good. That's actually pretty good. Are we 15th in terms of our Alliance? Yo, we're actually 15th. Shout out to my Alliance. Let's go, boys. But if you guys have a look here, like, we've got TRS, Skype here. Obviously, the big names like Young Supernovas are there. Assault Force are second, and then we get 8 in terms of first. These guys are like big-time whales, like big-time whale alliances. They like to rank very highly on most of these events, especially stuff like Pirate Rumble. And a lot of these guys are actually using stuff like 5-man teams. They're using stuff like Dex teams, Strength teams, and Quick teams. In today's video, you guys will be seeing a lot, like every fight I have is against these particular fights, because you can maximize your 27-point gains. Using defense teams to gain rankings doesn't really mean too much. And if you're throwing up these disgustingly powerful teams, especially in the top 100 and stuff like that, if you're throwing up these disgustingly powerful teams, no one's going to fight you to start with. Your team's just going to sort of sit there, and the defense teams don't really mean shit. They make up like 10% of your fight, like somewhere between like 1 and 10% of your like points, and they don't really go towards your ranking. So if you want to rank, you want to be getting 27-point fights, and you want to be banding together as a community to sort of bump up those particular points. Obviously, there are going to be times when RNG sort of comes into play, and you are going to like struggle, and you are going to lose to some particular defensive teams, and that's okay, because at the end of the day, like RNG is a huge factor in PvP. Like a huge factor. But you want to maximize those 27-point wins. Putting up stuff like 5-man teams, like the 5-man slasher team. The Dex team's a great team to put up. The Quick team. The Strength team, if you want to be a little bit cheeky. But if you're ranking like outside like the top sort of like 500, put up whatever you like. Like if you want to get those defensive fights, that's absolutely up to you. Just be mindful that no one likes you and like no one's going to fight you. They probably like you, but they just don't like the team you're putting up. And they're not going to fight you. So don't be looking out for those crazy defense wins. If you guys want to see what I'm using as my defend win, big shout out to Thor, big shout out to Loki. They're sort of doing this track too. This is my defensive team. Right there. That's my defensive team. We're running that crazy Shanks build. We got those redhead pirates popping off with the help of like Mihawk and Luffy in there. That is my defensive team for this high-end fights. Giving people the 27 points is not that big of a deal. Like, every now and again, letting them rank high is okay, because you want players to get that high in the terms of building the community, banding together, and not just having stupid fights. I will say one thing. Running a team like this, running a team like this, running a team like this, just doesn't benefit anyone, including yourself. Mainly because, like, no one wants to fight this. Like, the Psy team is by far the best team in the game. It relies on RNG, but it doesn't need RNG to be good. And even when you're using the new EGOgotic, this particular character right here that just absolutely decimates Psy, it can still win. It can still win. It's disgusting. They need a character in PvP that can just like nerf Psy, nerf Free Spirit, because strength Free Spirit's still very, very good as well. But using these teams doesn't really benefit anyone in any regard. So having like a main team, you don't have to use a main team, like that's just for funsies. But using stuff like the strength team is really, really cool, because then like quick teams can gain a lot of points. Using stuff like the DEX team, so that way they like teams get a lot of points. And you can, oh, excuse me, you can even use stuff like the quick team to get a lot of points. Now I don't have a quick team. I normally just bounce between these two particular teams. I throw this one up every now and again throughout the day when I'm feeling generous and, you know, want to like help out the team. But most of the time I'll have one of these two teams live, so that way I can sort of maximize the points for everyone. You can do funky 5-man teams like the Slasher team as well. Like, that's another really good option if you guys want to be throwing stuff up like that. But as I mentioned, like, you really want to help out in getting those 27 points. And it'll end up getting more tickets in the end, because you guys can fight these 27-point fights as well. In today's video, you'll be seeing me sort of optimizing the most gains for Pirate Rumble characters, as well as utilizing EGOgotic and Brogy and Droll. I can't say their names. I'm going to stuff it up through the whole video. I don't think I did. Is it Brogy and Dory? You want to maximize them if you have them, but even still, running the in team is just not viable, because these Psy teams are just so disgustingly strong that it just doesn't work in your favor. So I would highly recommend avoiding them if you can, and taking on the teams that you do see in today's video. The moral of today's video is you want to try and maximize as many Pirate Rumble characters in your crew as possible, as well as maximizing as many wins as possible. So with that said, let's take a look at the fights. Alright, so the first fight is against the homie Life. Big shout out to Life, part of AF. My boys over at AF. Big shout out to all of those guys over there. If you're watching this video, AF, let me know in the comment section below. Drop a like, drop a comment. Shout out to you boys. Much love for the AF Alliance. So, Life is running Slashers. Now, for Slashers, or for what I see here in terms of a 5-man team of Slashers, obviously, Psy is our go-to. Enel, Rebecca Toy Soldier, they're the characters you want. But as you guys will notice, on my bench, I am using the EGOgotic, as well as the Dory and Brogy. I can't get those names right. I'm going to stuff it up throughout the video, and I do apologize. But for Slashers, this particular team does very, very well. And funny enough, in today's video, you don't actually see an int team. Like, int teams don't really exist, because Psy is just so damn powerful, and it's just so RNG reliant. But with the Slasher team, we can use a lot of defense down with Enel. We can use a lot of defense down with Rebecca Toy Soldier. Strusen's an absolute god. If you don't have Strusen, you can use stuff like Smoothie, Scopper. Any of those other Pirate Rumble characters that can give you more points works very, very nicely here. But using Strusen works great, because Strusen's actually a free spirit character, which means he gets buffed under Odin. If you have Odin, it just works like an absolute dreamboat. If you don't have Yamato, you can use Roger, but Yamato works really, really well. With this team, you do get like 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 points on top of whatever your like points you are getting. And thanks to Life and that 5-man team, it does work very, very nicely. So, alright, moving on to the Strength team now. We are coming up against a Strength fight. Shout out to the Bro Alliance. They have been dropping a lot of these Strength-based teams. With the Strength-based team, you obviously want to try and build quick. Now, there obviously is the little issue of Straw Hats. There is a couple of different team comps going around with the Straw Hats, but this is the best one that we have come up with. And when I say we, shout out to the Alliance. Big shout out to my boy Jin. I do a lot of talking with my boy Jin. He has ranked first in Pirate Rumble before. He's an absolute nerd when it comes to this stuff. When I say nerd, he's a good nerd, like a great nerd. He's an absolute weapon of a nerd. With this particular team, the Strength team is very iffy. They do have Kid, which does make things very like, I have lost like once or twice with this particular team in Championship. Purely based on really bad RNG. But with the Straw Hats, it does work very nicely for Strength. There are a couple of different comps though. You can have like Rayleigh on this team. You can have like Sober Mask on this team I've seen. And you want to be careful when you see those comps. And ideally, you probably don't want to fight them if you do come up against them. You do want to maximize your chances of winning with the 27 points. That is the big like gimmick here. Like, That's really what you want to be doing when it comes to these particular fights, as well as getting as many Pirate Rumble characters in your crew, as well as utilizing the new units if you can. The downside to this quick team that we have built, although we do think is probably the safest, is it doesn't use your rogue. Quick, honestly, Quick is in a really, really weird spot. Man, Izo and Yokiku are just so good. They're in a really weird spot that even against strength, they do struggle, which is like their natural enemy, and is what they actually do really well against. But as you see, we kind of clapped that fight, but it can be a little bit closer if you do get really, really bad RNG. So that team, there's a lot of points to be had there. You do have Shiryu, you do have the full bench being PvP units, but it's not as many points as your other variants as you'll see in this video. Alright, moving on to Verse Dex now, and big shout out to AF once again. And a big shout out to the boy, the homie, the big dog, Eric D. Yonko. I know you guys are watching this video, AF. Let me know in the comment section below. Eric is putting up a very, very powerful and a very, very strong Dex team. And don't get me wrong, Eric has gotten the better of me a couple of times. RNG with this particular team is another big issue. I have lost to Eric once, and I've lost to another variation of this once as well after I lost to Eric, and it fucking pissed me off. The downside, the only time you will lose with this particular build is if Kid doesn't hit anyone. Yeah, it's very unlikely, but sometimes Kid can literally hit no one, and when that happens, it's just GG. Fortunately, there's just nothing you can do about it. Pirate Rumble is still RNG when it comes to that, and even when you strategize to the point where you can maximize your amount of points, fortunately, shit can still hit the fan, and unfortunately, you still can lose. We are running the new batch on our bench, and with this particular setup, we do have a lot of, like, Dex nerfing. Shout out to my Pepe boys for the Kaku strat. Kaku and Toki combination is just god tier when you are versing strength. You can do some shenanigans if you want to. If you don't have Toki, you can use verse Ace. You can also use Cracker instead of Kaku. But Kaku's great. He lowers defense. He gives special cooldown. Toki's great because she has an amazing passive. She has more cooldown. She has a lot of speed. She gives a lot of HP. She gives a lot of attack. And because Law boosts slashes as well, he actually boosts them both double times. So with like Law as our core or our center unit, it works nice for both Kaku and Toki, as well as obviously Odin, giving that 2,500 fixed damage. This team, as I mentioned, I've only lost once to this particular team you see on screen, and to another big dog Dex team, but that was purely because Kid literally hit no one. Like, I don't mean like he just like, oh, hit one unit. He hit no one. Like, no one. So big shout out to AF once again. Big shout out to Eric. That was against the Dex team. Strength teams works very nicely. A lot of point boosters there, and it's normally my go-to when I am trying to fight. We do have 2 more teams though. Alright, so besides the final team you see in this video, Quick is what you want to fight, and especially a 5-man Quick team. So, this particular team you see on screen, I do have 2 Dex teams. I am only showcasing this Dex team because this Dex team basically does not lose. With Dofi, and then all Pirate Rumble characters, like all Pirate Rumble characters, you can get so many points. But if you're versing a 5-man team like you see here, you can actually swap Dofi for Cavendish. I know. And then you have all Pirate Rumble characters, and this is your best way to get points. However, if you use Cavendish, you got to be careful. RNG is still a thing, and if there's more than 5 units, there's a good chance you'll probably die. There's a good chance you'll die. So just be careful. Please be careful. But if you want to be safe, use Zoro, use Dofi. Those particular characters will help you out significantly. Now, obviously, we're using Pirate Rumble characters. Stump, what other characters can I use? You have a lot of other characters. You don't have to run a bench like this. You just want to get as many Pirate Rumble characters in there as possible, get as many points as possible, and take on fights that you know that you can, like, come up against. And as you guys will see, this whole video, we're not even using in, except for one fight, and I'm going to give a big shout out to someone in a second, where we actually use the in team. And the final fight of the video. The final fight. He's dropped to rank 49. I want to give a huge shout out to this man here, Thor, as well as Loki. Now, Thor and Loki, as you guys can see here, are actually running mean teams, I guess is the best way to put it. And when you're in these high rankings, you're going to give 27 points. So Thor has put up a Mink-based team. So he's got Carrot and Wanda, he has Cat Dog, He has the rare recruits, and there's a whole bunch of minks on the team. I have seen Loki, he's put up a bunch of Reiju Bay characters. So he did like Boa and all the the swimsuits. And these particular guys, Loki was coming first. And he was putting up these defensive teams to just guarantee everyone 27-point wins. And as I mentioned to you guys just after the intro, let's band together as a community and let's get together and win these fights and get 27 points. It not only closes the gap between JP, but defense points, they don't mean shit. You don't get, like, a lot of your points from defense. If you want to put up defensive teams, like I mentioned, go ahead. Like, you do you. That's fine. If you're not ranking in the top 50, I do understand you probably want to get those defensive wins. But if you're getting in those high ranks, defense wins don't even make up, like, 10% of 10% of your rank. Like, they don't even make up, like a 1 to 10% ratio of what you're actually getting. So everyone put up defense teams that everyone knows. You don't have to do meme teams like this. You don't have to guarantee wins like this. That's not what I'm saying. But those DEX teams you see, those quick teams you see, those strength teams you see, just don't put up the side team. Just please, for the love of God, don't put up the side team. It's too RNG related, too RNG based, and no one will fight you, let alone no one will want to fight you. So that's going to wrap up the video. Just huge shout out to the guys that are putting up those meme teams. Massive, massive shout to Thor. Massive shout out to Loki. Massive shout out to the AF boys, as I mentioned. Even a massive shout out to the bro boys and all those people that are putting up those teams to help everyone get as many points as possible. If you guys did enjoy the video, if you do enjoy the OPTC content, if you do enjoy the Pirate Rumble content, let me know in the comment section below. And let me know by belting the like button if you do want to see more. Or you haven't done so already, hit that big red subscribe button too. But guys, wherever you are in this beautiful world, please remember to enjoy the rest of your day. As always, homies, I thank you for watching and I'll catch you all in the next one. Later!